Hey class, Lariviere here, and I thought for this week we had to do sort of a how-to speech, and I thought about things that I'm really good at that might interest some other class members. One of the things I'm really good at is home repairs. I've been doing my own in-home repairs, anywhere from plumbing to fixtures, painting, wood repair, woodworking. Ever since I was a teenager, actually, my father used to help me out with it. And so I've got a project that I was working on when this assignment came up, and I thought that would be a perfect opportunity to share with the class. I'm sure there's other homeowners in the class. A lot of class members I've noticed are stay-at-home, type people, which to me means you have a vested interest in your house. So that's why I picked the project. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you how to recess a slot for your door hinges in case you ever need to replace a door. What happens a lot of times when you buy a new door or pre-hung door, one with hinges already attached, that matches the dimensions that you need from a Lowe's or a Home Depot, it never matches up quite correctly with your door frame at your house, and so you have to fix that. And I'll show you right now exactly what I'm talking about. As you can see, the project I was working on, this is what your door frame and your door should look like. They should match up. I still have a little bit of sanding and painting to do, obviously. But when I first bought this section here was offset from the door frame. As you can see, I made a repair to the door itself. And a simpler way to do it is what I'm going to show you. I just chose to do it the hard way because I like challenges. So to get started, there's going to be a few materials you're going to need. First and foremost, you'll need a pen. And you'll need the pen to mark along the side of the door a few marks so that you know where to make your cuts. The second thing that you'll need, let me adjust my camera here real quick, is a square level. This is used so that you can make sure that your door is level so that when you route out your hinge recesses, you don't accidentally make it so the door is lopsided and doesn't shut properly. The third thing you'll need, and this is if you're doing the project by yourself, or quite frankly, even if you have somebody to help, a good 12-inch is what I recommend clamp. Now, this is a lever clamp, as you can see. It closes with the pull of the trigger and then releases here. You can use a C-clamp or any other clamp. I chose this because it has padding on it, and it's simple to use so that I can clamp the door to the wall for my markings without damaging either the wall or the door. The next thing you'll need is a guide for your hinge hole. Now I'm using 3.5-inch hinges. Hinges also come in 3-inch sizes. This is the 3.5-inch size piece right here. And one thing I want to point out while I'm showing you this is this marking right here. That is the center line for your hinge recess. And that's going to come in important a little bit later. And the last thing you'll need is a router. This is a router with a wood bit, as you can see, and this is used to actually route inside this piece here. This wood bit goes in and rolls along the edges, like so, and down through the middle, and it routes out the hinge you need. Now, it might seem like a lot of tools, but I strongly recommend if you are a homeowner, or even if you just have a vested interest in taking care of your own home and some of the things around it, you have a few common tools. Clamps come in handy more often than not when you have to wood glue something or hold something up if you're by yourself. A square level is also something, hanging pictures. It has so many uses. And then a router is a tool that you might need, mainly for door framework, such as door latches and hinges. But it's also a fun tool to have if you want to make something like a butcher block and you want to route out nice edges, or you have a table that has needs a repair along the edging. You can repair it if it's a wooden table or a wooden desk and match the bevel along the edge with your router. So those are all good tools to use. Now that we know what it is that we've got and what it is that we need, I'm going to show you a quick step-by-step process on how to do this, and it's actually quite simple. So just bear with me for a sec. The first thing you're going to want to do is, your door should come pre-hung, which is the way I recommend you buy most doors. However, if it doesn't, all you need to do is make your 3 hinge routing slots here, here, and down at the bottom, okay? Now, these recesses are important because they have to match directly up with the door, with the door frame, but what's interesting is before you route out the molding that the door is actually going to be attached to, and that's the frame of the door, before you route that out, it doesn't matter where on your door the hinge slots are, because you can just simply match them up. As long as you have the three and they're relatively evenly spaced, top, middle, and bottom, you should be fine. What you're going to do is you're going to take your pre-hung door, which has this hole in it right here, okay? And then what you're going to do is you see these two holes here. I don't know how well you can see those, but this screws into the door frame. So you're going to screw this into the door frame. Let me just get a good angle on it. Actually, let me just change my angle slightly because I feel like it'll be easier for you to see here. This piece sits on the door frame like so, and all you have to do is mark the center line of the hinge recess on your door and mark it here. Just create a line straight across, and that's going to give you a reference point. And you do this for all three areas where you want the hinge to go. So too easy there. Now that you've got all your areas marked, you want to route them out. The clamps come in handy for the marking because sometimes your door is going to be offset by anywhere from 1.5 inches to 2 inches on the top and the bottom, which means you're going to have some space. You don't want it touching the floor because then it won't open and close. So you have to lift the door up about 1/4 to 1/2 of an inch off the ground, making sure that it has clearance along the top as well. Once you do that, that's when your clamps come in handy and you're level, because you want to make sure your door is level, like we discussed earlier, and you want to make sure your clamp holds the door in place on both top and bottom, which is why you need 2 clamps. And that will allow you to accurately mark each spot without moving the door each time. That's important because if you get your measurements wrong, it's not going to be good. So I'm going to show you real quick what I mean. As you can see, there's a space on the door here. And I'm going to show you this fits over the door like such. And you just clamp it on. And you do the same thing on the bottom, and that'll hold your door in place so you don't have to have somebody standing there holding it. Once you've got everything marked out, you're going to take your guide for your router and you're going to screw it in. And a router is very simple to operate. I'm going to show you how to do that right now. On this router, each router is a little bit different, but there's always just going to be a simple cord and a power switch. Plug it in. This is the power switch right here. On, off, on, off. In the on position, you want to make sure you're using proper safety, you're using goggles. So when you turn it on, this bit is going to spin. So you don't want your hands anywhere near that. That's why there's these 2 black things here. That's for you to hold on to. Keep your hand away from the router bit. Now, let me just show you real quick. You'll have to use your imagination here because I'm not going to go through the process of screwing in because I've already done some finishing work. But once that router guide that we discussed, that little black piece of plastic, or rubber, I'm sorry, that screws into your door is in place, you just move it along to all your 3 different areas and you simply turn the router on, put it inside. There is a ball bearing based thing that allows it to guide along the edge of that. This spins, and that goes along the edge of your guide without cutting it. So you're only cutting the door. You want to make sure your depth setting is to the correct setting of your hinges. It should say on the hinge pack, or you can just measure your hinges. Or you can simply use trial and error, which is generally what I do because with a little bit of wood putty you can fix anything. But that's it. All you're going to do is clamp your door, mark it off, your hinge areas, make sure that your hinge area is properly marked off and that all 3 hinge holes align. Then you go down the line top to bottom, screw in your hinge guide, route out the hole, unscrew it, put it back on, route out the hole, unscrew it, put it back on, route out the hole. And that's all you have to do. You can do it for both the door and the door frame, or if you're smart and you buy a pre-hung door, you only have to do it for the door frame. So it's a real simple fix, and this can be used for, the reason this is important around your house is it can be used for, if your door cracks. I know I've had a couple times where I have locks on my door and my kids lock it and it gets shut and I can't open it, so I have to kind of force it open and that cracks the door. It's only happened a few times, but it is important to know how to replace these things for yourself, because if you were to hire a handyman to come to your house, depending on where you live, they could charge up to $50 an hour for labor. So this door was $67. I already had most of the materials I needed, so I saved myself about $100 to $150 by doing it myself. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed it. And, frankly, if any of you have any questions about home maintenance, maybe some product that's bugging you around the house, feel free to ask. Have a nice day.